Welcome to the GoalZero Toolbox Talk series. Today's Toolbox Talk: Due diligence. In an occupational health and safety sense, due diligence means an employer has taken all reasonable precautions, under certain circumstances, to prevent incidents in the workplace. You may hear this term from time to time, so what is its significance? It is an individual or organization's primary defense against prosecution for an occupational safety infraction. Due diligence uses safety documentation, policies, training records, worker training, and more to prove that a person or company entity has complied with their legislated duties. This idea of due diligence defense is written into our legislation via the duties as they are written. It relates to due diligence as it is defined as means practicable unless the person on whom a duty is placed can show that there is a gross disproportion between the benefit of the duty and the cost, in time, trouble and money, of the measures to secure the duty. Therefore, to prove due diligence, we must prove that our actions have been reasonably practicable. In this context, reasonably practicable means that which is, or was at a particular time, reasonably able to be done to ensure health and safety, considering, and weighing up all relevant matters including the likelihood of the hazard or the risk concerned occurring. The degree of harm that might result from the hazard or the risk. What the person concerned knows, or ought reasonably to know, about the hazard or risk, and ways of eliminating or minimizing the risk. The availability and suitability of ways to eliminate or minimize the risk, and after assessing the extent of the risk and the available ways of eliminating or minimizing the risk, the cost associated with available ways of eliminating or minimizing the risk, including whether the cost is grossly disproportionate to the risk. As an employer, we must look at some basic principles and ask questions of ourselves to ensure we are taking reasonable action. Foreseeability. Was this incident something we should have/could have reasonably seen coming? i.e., a machine with a high chance of rolling over. Preventability. Was this preventable? If there were controls in place, could the incident/injury have been prevented? Control put into place. What control was provided? Was it adequate? Was it the best selection of reasonably practicable controls based on the scenario? These questions may seem simple to implement, however, there must be an adequate safety system to ensure all company stakeholders understand their role as it relates to the implementation of these controls. This safety system should cover all minimum legislative requirements that are outlined. In many instances, you may be expected to exceed the minimum. This may come in the form of industry practices and standards that are accepted, such as CSA, ANSI, NFPA, or ISO standards. Every organization is responsible for its workforce. Since workers must be protected from harm, many of these standards are seen as reasonably practicable in a courtroom atmosphere. Care must be taken to connect the documentation with the knowledge of the workforce. Communication strategies must be pre-planned and executed to ensure learning transfer occurs for all due diligence objectives. If records of all reasonable actions taken are kept, and workers are aware and understand, there is proof of due diligence. This will become the primary defense if due diligence is required.